Hello everyone. Thank you for giving us time to present our research and findings for MGA password policy. This presentation is prepared by Nazneen, Fanmilayo, Punj and me, Vaibhav. Agenda of this presentation is going to include introduction, current policy overview, objective, research and study, result and discussion, and then finally recommendations. Introduction. For the safety of an organization computing resources, only authorized users should be granted access to the system. Secure system should keep unauthorized users from gaining access. Its role of the password policies. Password policies are very critical due to the importance of the password. Organizations have policies for general use of computing resources. Password policies enforce creating more effective passwords and make organizations more secure. Strong passwords. Strong passwords are hard to guess and unique for each account. If password policies are well designed, it helps user to create and maintain passwords more effectively. While weak passwords, users are inclined to choose passwords that are easy to guess. Hence, quick to guess or easy to guess passwords become vulnerable to attackers. So, what are reasons for password authentications? That why password authentication is widely used? Because of its simplicity for system designers to design a secure system, its simplicity for end users to use, and it also provides cost effective protection. So objective of the study is aimed at providing solutions to avoid cybersecurity breach in MGA by examining current password policy, analyze it with common requirements governing organizations' password usage, and providing solutions to loopholes by providing a revised recommendations on policy for the institution. Current policy overview. The scope of the current policy includes all computers, network systems operated, owned, and maintained by MGA. These following policies currently guide institutes password creation and the usage. Uh, yeah. Research and study. The research and study performed in last few weeks targeted two aspects: security and usability. Every organization have their best practices of password usage, which guides and enforces these practices with the help of security and password policy. Policies are important to the successful operation of technology both in academic institutions and corporations. We reviewed many papers and research studies performed in such academic institutions and corporations. So, who's the weakest link in the cybersecurity breaches? In a survey of 836 employees, found that only 6% of the employees were following best practices if guidelines were not imposed on them. That means for any company, cyber threat is one of the main challenge and employees are the weakest link of cybersecurity breaches. So what's the damage cost? In the same study, we found that average, da- average damage done by the negligence of insider cost companies millions of dollars in the form of fraud, theft of trade secrets, or intellectual property. Average revenue lost through cybersecurity breaches caused by insider is much higher than by outsider or outside attackers. But not all the organizations are negligent when it comes to cybersecurity. There are many organizations that proactively perform different operations to understand its employees' behavior in terms of password usage and managing it so that proper policies can be put in place. We also reviewed many best practices, rules in different organizations, institutions, and government regulations as well. Result and discussion. What are issues that we found? The research and study performed in last few weeks, as we said, targeted two aspects: security and usability. And yes, there are issues in both. Issues are present on password selection, like choosing strong and complex password and remembering them. We also discussed different costs which can adversely affect institutes as a result of improper policies, thereby increasing IT costs. So there were many issues. What are different solutions? We did evaluate different options and we will discuss a few. One of the options was password manager. Password managers such as LastPass are widely used in order to store different passwords created by users on different accounts in one central location. This will ensure users do not have to remember their password by themselves, as the password manager application takes on that role. This is, however, not recommended because unpaid versions of such managers are restricted to usage on one device, which is not safe procedure, as the system is capable of either crashing or being stolen if it is the mobile one especially. Another option was MFA. MFA stand for multi-factor authentication, in which in order to get into authorized network, user needs to provide his or her identity in some form, something user knows like previous address, or something user has like house, or what user is. All of the above issues that we discussed can be addressed using MFA with the combination of password, strong password, and token generated by the system. Along with that, more authentication technologies can also be used like one-time passwords, smart cards, or biometrics. This is a good solution so far, and we do have more details about MFA in our paper. Another solution reviewed was SSO, single sign-on, which means user needs to enter his or her credential for authentication and authorization, and then thereafter he or she will be able to access multiple applications in the organization's network securely and seamlessly. Many organizations across all domains are aligning their IT systems to use SSO identity and access management suites. This helps and allows these organizations to comply with mandated compliance from many regulations like Sarbanes-Oxley, SOX, and Health Insurance Portability and Accountability Act, HIPAA, in the United States. We do also have more details about SSO in our paper. Study on usability shows that users do not like to change password every 90 days or so, depending on existing policies, if any, which might result easy to crack password. Hence, reviewed password reviewed another solution. Hence, we reviewed another solution. Use of the tools like Azure Active Directory password protection helps in two parts. One, users generally would not select easy to break password because the tool disallows a large range of easy to guess passwords from being used in the first place. Secondly, it makes easy for users to manage their passwords and making them less vulnerable to attackers. We believe that having great policy is important, but along with that, informing and educating about it to the users is also important. What's next? Challenges. While these benefits are great, there are challenges associated with them as well. One of the challenge is addressing new methods of attack, which is not addressed by MFA. Hence, continuous updates and review in the policy is also important. So here is our conclusion with the recommended policy updates based on our research and study. Single sign-on. Every user in a university's network would use SSO to access different applications. It is easier for a user to keep one strong password and use it to access application via SSO. Helps in usability. Second, multi-factor authentication. When user is not in the university's network, then he can connect via VPN, but he or she would need to give single sign-on password and also token generated by MFA apps like Duo. It will increase security when user is not in the university's network. Then user should follow guidelines given in the password policy for creating password. We have added 3 more guidelines along with the existing one. Password must be changed every 90 days, and user should get an email notification whenever it's time to change. Password must not be your first, last, or your username. and password should not be chosen from 5 previously used passwords. It is important for the university. Another recommendation is for it's important for the university to provide training on cybersecurity to all users, um, new and existing ones, to make them understand the value of cybersecurity and strong passwords. We also recommend to introduce and enforce restricting banned passwords tools like Active Directory password protection, as we discussed previously. We also added few more details in the policy. When user is not authorized to use account, user account should be deleted or disabled using two steps if needed. User or contractor or his or her immediate supervisor should contact university system admin, and university system admin will then take necessary action to delete or suspend user's account. There are a few password protection standards that we also recommend. User should not utilize individual data in password. User should not uncover password via telephone, email, or in any form to anyone, including his or her superiors. We also introduce um, application development standards in which all password in text file should be encrypted. Application should support authorization levels like admin, manager, developer, and user. And there should be two-step authentication for high sensitive applications. And finally, we also recommend remote access user policy, in which if user wants to log into applications remotely, which is when user is not in university's network, then he or she needs to connect with MFA, connect with VPN, and use SSO and then token. Penalties: if anyone violates rules governing policy or trying to get unauthorized access, then disciplinary action would be taken by the university. And lastly, enforcement: unit heads will ensure that all student, staff, faculty are aware of the importance of these policies. CIO must approve any waiver of these requirements if needed. Here are some of the references that we used in our presentation. And thank you again for your valuable time. And here are our contacts for any further communication required. Thank you very much.